Move the approval of the minutes from July 26th.
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. Excellent. Any business arising from the minutes? Yes,
I don't have
Councillor.
any business arising from these minutes, but
Okay.
somebody pointed out to me if on July the 14th, Committee of the Whole, we had a ratification of a minute from a previous council and committee meeting. It was naming of the flag, the Halipoo flag. That is technically not the Halipoo flag. It is the Mi'kmaq Grand Council flag.
Yes, yeah, that's.
Yeah, so, but in our minutes we had...
Oh, it was labeled incorrectly, was it?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
if
Well,
somebody knows.
apologies for that.
Oh my gosh,
That's
and
it's just
that's been pointed out to me for the last couple of weeks, so
Oh,
I said
okay.
I'd certainly bring it to council to change that.
That's right. That is the Grand Council flag.
Yes,
for
it's
the
not just
entire-
meant for the
Yes.
help. We said to ratify CC 21009 Marina, and it's the Halipoo flag.
Okay, no, good. Anything else there? Okay. So without further ado, let's get Mr. Charters up here. We recently had a transit study completed, and Mr. Charters, this is your department, so please tell us about transit, please. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, we just got, I know we got the report, but we just got the presentation in our email. Is there any way that we could sort of delay this for our next meeting while we have a good hard look at that?
Well, we can have the presentation though, right? Like, he's presenting the report for us to discuss, so.
You're not going to make a decision today, correct?
No, the only thing I think that's on the agenda here is to accept the report, which we had,
Oh,
right?
okay.
For design. And again, I'm assuming, Mr. Charters, this is reflective of the report itself.
Absolutely.
Okay, right? So it's, the content is the same, this is just a distilled version of what's there, right? Okay, good. Go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With great pleasure, this has been a long time coming. I've been working with the consultant for quite some time now. I must say they did a fantastic job of putting this presentation together and gave us a lot of really good options to consider. So with that, I'll run through the presentation. Did I get both of my clicking devices correct? So I wanted to talk about the study guiding principles. They were important for how the consultant formulated the recommendations in the report. Talk about some issues and opportunities that we found, some pros and cons of the current route design. I always get asked about, is it cheaper to do in-house versus contracted service, so I've thrown that in there as well to discuss a little bit. Fixed route versus on-demand. I want to give council and the public a little bit of taste of what that looks like, or what that is. And of course, the need of this presentation will be the recommended 5-year plan that's been given to us from Dillon Consulting. So with that, the guiding principles for this project: accessibility. Transit service in Corner Brook should be available to as many residents as possible, regardless of physical ability, age, or financial means. That was a key driver for us. Convenience, of course. Transit users should be able to get to where they need to go in a reasonable amount of time. The transit culture. This is an interesting piece. Transit should be considered as a viable transportation option for all Corner Brook residents. And of course, financial sustainability. Investments in transit should be strategic, and we should see some increase in ridership from those investments and better value to our customers, with the hopes of increasing ridership, as I had mentioned. So I wanted to get into the public engagement results a little bit. This was a key component of this project. It took a lot of time, but we wanted to get this right. We wanted to make sure not only council, but the residents, the current riders, potential riders, students, advocacy groups, all of those people had their opportunity to give us some input and feedback on what they would like to see, but also the current system as well. So, with that, most residents are satisfied with the cost of the service. It is $250 a ride, which falls in line with most transit systems in the country. Most residents are dissatisfied with the frequency and hours of service. This is a very common sentiment across Canada. Of course, everybody would like the transit buses to run as frequently as possible, and we understand that. Opinions are mixed about the length of travel time. It depends on where you get picked up and where you're going, how long it's going to take you to get through the system. And I alluded to this previously. There is a negative stigma around transit in Cornbrook. This is not unique to the city of Cornbrook. In my past life, it was the same struggle we had in the city of Fredericton. So this is not common, but it is a big problem for most transit systems in the country. Transit is not convenient enough to attract a large ridership due to long travel times, low frequency, and limited service hours. We spoke about that briefly. And council priorities. Value for investment, of course. We don't expect council to pump money into the system without expecting certain results. Council would like to increase ridership, of course, and improve the accessibility, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, which is one of the guiding principles for the study. Another response we got was local taxi providers are keen to assist us with their services to help us improve. There are some gaps in the system that we feel we can improve with the help of local taxi companies, so that's great news. The Accessibility Committee wants an accessible service, as do we all. Grenfell Campus wants service into the evening, so that helps with their students not only getting to the malls, for example, or getting to evening classes, so that will make it easier and more usable for Grenfell students. Continuing with public engagement, we asked about the response to the on-demand. Probably not a lot of people, they may have heard of it, but they didn't understand what it was. So we asked what their comfort level with on-demand. It is lower among daily transit users now, and this kind of breaks it down. Comfortable using on-demand service versus fixed route, about 46% of current riders. This was good news, though. Comfortable using an app or computer to book the trips, and comfortable paying with an app. So those were about 60%, 66 and 59% respectively. So that was good news for some things we would like to try. Now I'm going to talk about some issues and opportunities we have with the current system. Of course, the current system operates fairly well, but it has a limited budget. I just want to make this note, probably more than once, that there are a few improvements that can be made to a transit system without sacrificing coverage and increasing costs. So that's important to understand. Lack of two-way service, I'll get into that a little more, but it really depends on where you're being picked up, where you're going to, and how you get back. So it could be a 5-minute trip one direction and an hour trip the other way. So that's something that we looked at. Access to the stops. Sometimes there's a lack of sidewalks, trail systems that connects to stops, so that could be an issue. And a lack of accessible service, bringing that up multiple times on purpose. That's a key point here. Some opportunities. Routes can be modified to reach the new long-term care and the new hospitals, so that's good news. An on-demand system could be piloted in the system. It's very common in a system of a city of our size where sometimes there's low riderships. So that's a definite possibility. Hours can be extended to the evenings and weekends. Again, that will have a cost associated with it, which we'll talk about. And there's an opportunity to partner with local taxi industries. That's an important opportunity. Just a little bit about the current stop activity in the city. We collected some data over the course of the study. There are no surprises here. Downtown's the biggest draw with Murphy Square, Cornbrook Plaza. You see the larger the diameter of the circle, the more people get on and off at those locations. Of course, we would like to see the Mon area, those circles expand, and other locations in the city as well. So this just kind of gives you an idea of where the heavy ridership is or are in the city. So some pros with the current design, again, good coverage. Most of the city can be reached within 400 meters of a bus stop. In other words, the maximum you would have to walk or travel to a bus stop in the city is about 400 meters. That's a common industry standard to use, so that's good news. Again, there are some gaps that we can address. Easy to get to and from downtown. Time transfers right out here. It works very well. Some of the cons, the lack of a two-way service, means many trips will take 1 hour. I got ahead of myself, but I understand the point. It depends on where you're picked up and where you're going. The service is infrequent, 1 hour frequency or hit. So I'm going to talk, the recommendations I'll talk about will address those concerns and challenges. So I wanted to talk about in-house versus a contract service. Sometimes it's cheaper to do it yourself, sometimes it is not. The system, I'll back up a bit, our consultant has a lot of experience doing transit studies for all sizes, from Toronto to Corner Brook. So he is very familiar with how the costs are driven in those contracted versus in-house. You'll see here, in the end, in-house would be more expensive than having a contract. Of course, you see on the left column, contract 2020, that was an increased cost, but that we can attribute some of that cost increase to COVID and not only with the ridership and the revenue going down. So there are some costs there. Financing of new vehicles is included in that as well. So the cost of the contract has increased. But again, just looking through all the costs associated with operating a transit service, you're going to see in the vast majority of times that it is more expensive to do it in-house than it is to contract. So I want to talk a little bit about fixed route and on-demand service. I am by no means an expert. I understand it a little bit. I actually have a couple of meetings scheduled for later in the week to discuss, so I can get a better feel for what the on-demand systems look like and how they work. I know a little bit about it, but I'll give you all my vast knowledge on it right now. Similar to Uber and Lyft, trips are booked in advance. You either call into a dispatch system or use your smart device. A software, an optimization software will take all those calls. It will reroute the buses and the drivers in the buses and schedule pickup times accordingly to maximize the route. So the philosophy here is that you can improve efficiency by doing this. It's very popular in areas where there's low ridership. I know some properties who have very busy routes and some not so much, so they have a hybrid system to use on demand for those not so busy areas, and the fixed route generally for the busier area. So some of the costs. This is a little confusing, but I'll try to break it down as simply as I can. Fixed route right now, our latest contract is about $469,000. Now you add a paratransit vehicle, which is specialty service, accessible service. That's going to increase your cost, so you're looking at another $234,000, but you have to have a dispatcher in place, so that increases the cost by $50,000-ish. So you're looking at a total cost of that combined service, a fixed route and a paratransit service, of about $753,000. Now, if you look at on demand with 2 buses, it's probably going to be a little cheaper at about $447 in that range, plus some software, so $472. It's going to be pretty similar. Then you add on the specialty transit, and in fact, it works out to be a little cheaper for a complete on-demand system with the specialty system integrated into the normal system, or the not normal system, but what replaces the fixed route system. So you can see there are some cost advantages, but in the end, not a whole lot of cost advantages. So now, the meat of the presentation, I want to talk about the 5-year recommendation plan. The very first one is Route 2 should be modified to connect to the new hospital. This is one of the very few changes that we are able to make. I'm anticipating we're able to make this, where it would be very low ridership or cost impacts. Just to give you kind of an idea, of the current routing, currently the route goes up Elizabeth, up Wheelers Road, back down through Pratt Street, and does the loop that way, and then heads up to the campus. You see on the right, what we would do is still continue up Elizabeth, excuse me, go up through Pratt Street, out to the hospital, down wheelers a little bit to capture, you'll see the large circle there, which gets quite a few riders, but that's still a very short distance, so they could still connect into the change, and then Corporal Pinkston Memorial Drive back to the campus. So that piece on Corporal Pinkston makes up the time that you lose by going out to the hospital and turning back. So it is doable. I timed it a number of times, but again, we'll have to check with the contractor to ensure it's going to work. I'm pretty comfortable that it will work. Another change we'd like to make is essentially the whole network remains the same, but the first half of Route 2, and this is where we get into the two-directional traffic I was mentioning, or two-directional service I was talking about earlier. So essentially, we would reverse the direction on the first half of Route 2. This is a general map that shows the reverse direction. I'll show a better one. But you will notice that a section of Humber Road may be cut off from the system, and a small section on West Valley Road as well. So I'll talk about that in a second. Sorry, I'm going on that. Too many items looking here. So you can see here that it's just a reverse. The gray is the current system, the red is proposed, so it would go back around. What this does is, the best example I was given, say you're at Memorial University and you want to go over to the plaza. Well, it's not a very long drive, so you can get there in about 5 minutes. So that's fantastic. The problem is when you're coming home, you've got to wait for the appropriate bus, and you've got to travel the entire other way of the system, go back to the transfer station, wait for the transfer, get on the bus, and then go back up the hill in the morning. So you can see that that would almost take an hour to do, which is probably not that convenient. By doing this, reversing the system, you may go on one route, but you're coming back on the other route. So it will be a 5 to 10 minute drive in both directions now with this reversing. As I said before, not much happens without some cost implications. These are the areas that show in yellow here that you see that will be impacted by that change. This is what we would propose to do here is supplement the service with what we call a TransCAD service, which would be working with local CAD companies to pick up those riders and bring them back into the system. It would be no extra cost to them, but it would make the overall system much better, more convenient, and it would bring those folks that are being essentially a little bit cut off. Some of them are walkable to the new route changes, but those who aren't, we would like to bring them back into the system, and that is one way to do it, is with the TransCAD system. So, another one which I feel that's very important is to increase the awareness of transit. We heard a number of times that some folks weren't even aware that we had a transit system in the city, how it works. Admittedly, there's just a very small Point-of-Brook transit tag on the buses, so if you weren't familiar with what that logo meant, you might not even know that's a transit vehicle. So that's something that we would like to improve. We're talking about a cost of $10,000. Something we'd like to try. I know it's been tried in the past, but I was talking to the contractor this morning. They're willing to partner with us to maybe give out some free passes for the students as they come to the city to get them used to riding it. Hopefully, they'll continue to ride it. There's some other things that we would like to do as well. There's a lot more detail in the report. They also suggested a marketing branding project, which would be about $30,000 to $50,000. I think this would go a long way to helping with the image of Cornerbrook Transit and also getting some new. This one that was brought to our attention very quickly in the process, that there is a potential to purchase the buses and potentially lease them back to the contractor. As I noted before, there are some financing charges in our current contract that we, the city, are picking up. And we feel that it could decrease the operating cost by about 10% if we did that. That's not cheap, $300,000 to $500,000. They would be accessible vehicles, but I think there's some federal funding that we could tap into there. The federal government, through the ISIP program, has designated quite a fair amount of money for transit systems in the province. We just haven't had an actual capital project to be able to access that money. So this would be something that we would look into doing for sure. We wouldn't necessarily be going out and buy $500,000 worth of buses on our own. So that's good news there. Another one, this is fantastic news. I've been speaking to Metrobus and St. John's on and off for the duration of this, and we'd like to introduce smart card technology. We would partner with Metrobus, but what I mean there is essentially we would use their entire back-end system. We wouldn't have to operate that. We wouldn't have to construct that. So that would substantially lower our cost for this type of program. By that, it's kind of a card like this, or it's a RFID card that you can walk on the bus, tap, and you can pay like that. What this does several things. It kind of brings us into the 21st century with respect to transit payment systems, which we'll talk about a little more on the next slide. But this allows us to take advantage of provincial subsidy programs. St. John's has a program, and the province has already reached out to us, so we would begin discussions with them now that we had a solution to implement that type of program. Now again, this does not come cheap or for free. It would be about $75,000 to $100,000. That's all the readers on the vehicles. That's at the ticket selling stations where you reload the card, training for operators and staff, all those types of things. That would be a one-time cost, and after that it would be about $3,000 annually. And again, we expect this to be a capital cost, and we feel that could fall under the ISIP program, so we could get substantial funding for that as well. That's what we're hoping. So bringing us into the 21st century, I think this would go a long way to attracting new riders, more tech-savvy riders, but not only tech-savvy riders. It's a very convenient process for everybody that rides transit, for sure, potential riders. So proposing a pilot program with hotspot parking in transit. They have an excellent mobile device planning and payment system operation. I've worked with them in the past. They are a fantastic company. There are two options here typically with this type of system. Essentially, it's basically you go on your phone, you say, I want to go here, I want to pay through this method, and it will confirm that you've paid, and you just walk on the bus and you show the operator that there's many different ways, but it'll have a validated screenshot for the operator to confirm that you actually paid. We could roll this into parking as well, so it would be parking in transit done through the same company as a pilot. There are two options here. One is zero cost to the city. User pays for the small convenience. It's very typical of app-type systems. I believe it's 25 cents per ride in that range, so there is a cost there, or the city could cover the 10% transaction cost, so whichever is cheaper. These things I'm just laying these out for council. These are things we would like to try, but of course I would have to bring all of this back to council with more detail, more meat on the bones for council approval. So I'm not asking today for approval for all these recommendations. Some more year one recommendations: install some additional bus stops for better coverage. I talked about that a little bit. There are a few around town that we could install to help improve that. To conduct a transit accessibility audit. That basically, buying vehicles for an accessible system is the easy part. Once you have the vehicles, you have to assess all the stops, you have to have a booking system in place. You can't just say, now that we have transit vehicles that are accessible, ta-da, we have an accessible system. That's not the way it works. It's all about the stops for folks getting on and off the buses in desired locations. So that we need to have somebody do an audit of that and present us with a plan there. Some of the year two recommendations. Suggesting a pilot a 1 year on-demand evening service. That would be the Uber Lyft type service in the evening as a pilot. I understand that FCM has a lot of funding available for pilot projects of this nature, so that would be a great help. You'd see that evening service would cost about $128,000 a year with $20,000 to $30,000 in upfront capital. So again, these systems and improvements are not cheap, but again, we want to make strategic transit service in the city. Another year two recommendation was install bike racks on buses. In case you haven't noticed, there's a couple hills in this city. One direction's easy on a bike, the other way, well, it's not so easy. So I've found in my past life as well that putting bike racks on buses, we couldn't get enough bike racks on the buses because they were always full. Again, a city with hills, so this may be a low-cost capital investment to get some more riders, and goes in line with us trying to get more bikers into the city and promoting what we have for trail and biking infrastructure. So that would go hand in hand with that. Show you the picture. Usually they're on the full-size buses. This might be a little more challenging putting them on smaller vehicles, but I did manage to find that people do it. This is county in Augusta. Catch up to myself. Oh, I'm sorry. Just back up with the accessibility funding, that would be, so you gradually work away at your stops, your connections to your stops over time, once you have a plan in place, and that would be a $40,000 investment each year, and that would be eligible for the ISIP funding as well. So this is very small, but it is a detailed breakdown of what I just outlined. This includes all the expected increases in revenues to offset some of the costs. This is all contained, this is the operating model. Year one, we're talking about $43,000, year two, $300 to $350 in that range. And then the cost, depending on the success of the pilot programs you try, your cost could technically, after that pilot program, start dropping if you started to get into those on-demand or hybrid systems. This is a detailed breakdown of the capital costs. Again, first year about 18 to 43 but first year, I didn't put my own screen, 123 to 200, and then the capital investment goes way down after that. It's mostly operating costs. But these graphs are in the report if you'd like to take a closer dive into that. Just to summarize the financial plan, again, operating is about 18 to 43 year one. Talking 300 plus years, 2, 3 to 5. Capital, 462 to 741 without any funding partners. That drops substantially. Talking 123 to 200,000 in that range with funding partners. So year two, again, capital drops off substantially, but there would be some assistance through federal and provincial programs to be there. So. The operating costs would increase over time, then level out. The capital cost would be high in the beginning and go down over time, which is pretty typical. I talked briefly about some of the funding partners, Investment to Infrastructure Canada, the ISIP plan, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, have some programs, and I understand there's a new federal transit fund, I guess, depending on the election now, that would be implemented in years to come, so that would be another source of funding that we could expect to go. Just to wrap up, transit is important to this community. It makes us a complete city. It helps the folks that are vulnerable. There's health benefits. It decreases traffic. It's better for the environment. I could go on and on about the importance of having a transit system in our city. The consultant did an excellent job. Dennis Card and his team did a fantastic job and really gave us a lot more improvement options than I expected to see, so that's fantastic. The service improvement options all required an investment by the city, except for very few exceptions. The next steps would be to work with a contractor, explore the funding program, and then what I would do is any recommendation we're talking about here, I would bring back to council, if it had a monetary value attached to it, and get council approval on that. So that's kind of the process that we would see moving forward, other than the small ones that we could implement low cost and very quickly. And of course, this is very important, we would continue to work with our partners and stakeholders to improve the service. So with that, I'll take questions and, on to the RFP.
Okay, so yeah, so anyone have any questions, Mr. Charters, while he's fresh?
Hopefully, not a question, just, I guess, a comment to, I guess, kudos to the accessibility part of it, and not only making the buses accessible, the fact that we have to make our sidewalks and everything else accessible so people can actually get on and off the bus. So kudos to that. That is really, that's a step. And I also like the bike racks.
Yep.
Not that I ride bike.
Any other questions there?
Yeah, just one point, when you referenced the year one recommendations, you mentioned transit passes for the MUN and College North Atlantic, and I guess we would include private post-secondary institutions as well, or that's in Broad Street, right?
Yeah, any of the schools we were talking about there when I was going through the program, I wanted to change that to any of the schools. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions there?
Just a
Yes.
quick question. Oh, sorry. Who else wanted?
No, it was good.
Not me. I guess through all the talk with our consultants, was there ever anything brought up about our high school students and how we could probably tap into some of that with the students who are doing extracurricular? Because I mean, that's all starting back in September. So, like, is there anything we can offer them? Was there a suggestion for that?
There was definitely some discussions with the high schools, and it was common with all the schools, to be honest. It was, there's no service in the evening.
Yeah.
Or, might take an hour to get to and from where they need to go. So that's definitely on the radar, and any improvements we would make would be having all the schools in mind. We'd love to see high school kids using buses.
Okay.
Yeah, that was important.
So, just a question, Mr. Mayor. Some good recommendations for the first year for implementation. Time frame. What are we talking about now for as far as process moving forward?
Yeah.
Through Mr. Mayor, we would absolutely do the quick ones as fast as possible. Making the change up to the hospital would be a matter of the contractor actually testing the route out. I drove it several times, but it was different in the bus. So you gotta mimic stopping, for example, along the way. So I spoke to the contractor as early as this morning, and he's prepared to sit down with us and try to get rolling on this stuff. The easy ones are done quickly, but again, anything that involved money, I'd have to take it back, put it together, and bring it forward to council.
Okay, no, that's good. As long as we're on that now.
Year one
moving
would
forward.
start.
Yep, good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I like the accessibility. I think that's, and I think they really went into that detail. Because the fact about these sidewalks, and I never even thought of that. I just thought it was going to be
I know, some people don't.
that kind of thing. I think it's great. I like the fact that you looked at the even the weekend ridership. I think that's important too.
Mhm.
So I'm very pleased. I think great job. Thank you.
They did a fantastic job.
Yeah, anything else here? Yeah, I think again, it is very thorough, the report itself. And I think, as you mentioned, those recommendations, as they come up and get more specific, will have to come before council for approval. So any partnerships we do with the taxi companies or anything like that around that potential big route change, the directional change, I think is something that we'd all look forward to seeing the results of, because making the service more convenient would increase ridership and all those things, right? For sure. So there's a number of questions throughout the year 2 and 3. I think, and obviously we'll get there at some point, but no, I think the straightforward plan for year 1 and then trying to get some funding is the big hurdles right now. But there is ISIP money earmarked for transit for Cornerbrook and St. John's being the only municipalities in Newfoundland that have a formal transit system. We should be able to avail of that funding. So, good, okay. So, if we're ready, would someone like to make a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Thank you. Seconder?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any questions? Not? All those in favor?
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. Thank you. And now, I guess, going along with that, so Mr. Charles, you might want to stay there, just because you might have a couple questions on this one. We also, of course, we have a contract extension to consider for our current provider. So our service, of course, now, I'm trying to bring up the item here. 41, I'm not past my report here. 41. I don't have anyone to introduce this item. Is everyone familiar with the item I'm talking about? Right? No, I got it. No, not 41. No, it's different in here. Okay. Thank you. No, it's after the report. Yeah, so we have our current contract is up at the end of the month, of course, but anticipating that we were doing this study, we did have an option to renew there. So I guess, would someone like to bring forward this motion so we can have further discussion? Okay, yes, if you would.
I'll second.
So, okay, so we've got a motion, a seconded, I guess, to extend the contract with Murphy Brothers for $468,000, $774.50, HST included. So now I'll open it up for questions and debate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Question,
Well,
sorry.
well, Bert is
Question, Mr. Mayor,
waiting
yeah,
patiently
thank
over
you.
there.
My question is very simple and straightforward.
Yeah,
The recommendations suggested in the report, can they be implemented now in this contract moving forward if we wanted to go ahead and do it? That's,
yeah.
yeah.
And Mr. Charters?
There are provisions in the contract to negotiate changes to the system.
Okay. So as long as that's not, by us signing the contract, it's not an impediment moving forward.
Right. We don't want to get
Okay,
into that.
good.
Okay, yes, Mr. Councilor Grandin?
Yeah, one quick question. The cost for this extension is $468,000 and change. What's the difference in the amount for this extension at $468 compared to this previous last year?
We anticipate it to be the same number.
Same number?
Same.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, oh, Councilor Chason.
Yeah, and I guess I'll go into cost as well. I mean, if we're going to implement stage one or year one into this year one that we're extending our contract, it's going to come at an extra, is that going to come at an extra cost? Would we think, or, because we're signing on for this contract, so anything that we implement into it, be it bike racks on the front, be it whatever you've got down there, is that going to be an extra cost to the city?
Yes.
And we have no idea how much?
Yeah, there was year one
Yeah,
recommendations
we do,
presented
but
there, right?
we'd have to go back and, would we go back and negotiate that with Murphy's, or would we? Like, is it an open-ended contract, I guess is the thing I'm looking for.
We do have the right to negotiate any service changes for, like, if we want to change a route, that's easy. That's written right into the contract. We just talk to the contractor.
Probably a little cost, right?
At no cost.
Okay, no.
Anything above, like, bike racks, I don't anticipate any increased cost other than buying the bike racks and installing.
Okay,
Something like the on-demand pilot
Yeah.
will definitely be
Okay.
over and
Yeah.
above onto the existing contract.
we're gonna give ourselves the right to figure, we'll go back and negotiate, rather than them just say it's gonna be this blanket amount of money. Okay,
If it doesn't work for us,
I
yeah,
would imagine the biggest cost, I guess, in year one, potentially would be if we get into the trans-cab service.
yes, that would be one of them.
So if you change that route from the route and reverse the route, so you get that more convenient service between Murphy Square, the plaza, and say up by Grenfell, that area, then we would have to get into some kind of deal with the cab companies to
Oh, definitely.
provide that. And that's what
Yeah.
that anticipated cost, I think, first year was 18,000 to 18.5 to 43.5 roughly.
Yeah, say,
Yeah.
he wanted to give us a range, because if there's a lot of uptake, then it would be up to
Right.
everything is negotiable.
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I was waiting for that.
Mr. Mayor, the base amount of 468 is, my eyes are failing me on the budget lines where it's so small. Does that include the fuel surcharge, or is that plus the fuel surcharge over and above the existing contract?
Dale, are you aware of an escalator clause for fuel in there?
I had to look at that contract.
It's been a while.
We had 5-year agreements, we did have a fuel escalator clause. I don't recall if we had an escalator in there for this or not.
I'd have to check that one to be sure, Councilor Carey. I'm not
Thank you.
positive on that.
But otherwise, is the contract is the exact same, right?
Let's see.
From this, just the extension? Okay. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I'll take it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Charters. Okay. We do have, we have one proclamation to present, and this is on behalf of the National Polycystic Kidney Disease Awareness Day, which is September 4th, 2021, whereas polycystic kidney disease, PKD is commonly known, causes abnormal cysts to develop and grow in the kidneys, and the enlargement of cysts causes kidney function to decline. It equally affects women, men, and children, regardless of geography or ethnic origin. So therefore, I, Jim Parsons, Mayor of the City of Corner Brook, do hereby declare September 4th, 2021, National Polycystic Kidney Awareness Day in Corner Brook. Okay. We also have we have a tender. Councilor Granter, will you tell us about a tender we have for supply of winter sand? Ooh, terrible words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The current contract to supply winter sand has expired. The Provincial Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, on behalf of the city, tendered the supply and stockpile of 1,500 cubic meters of winter sand at the city's salt depot on McCollum Drive. The tender closed on July 15, 2021, and all submitted bids are listed below, HST included. Humber Arm Contracting Incorporated, $51,836.25. Marine Contractors Incorporated, $58,650.00. Be it resolved, Mr. Mayor, that the Corner Brook City Council accept staff recommendation to accept the bid of $51,836.25, HST included, by Humber Arm Contracting Incorporated for 2021 winter sand. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Seconder on that?
Second.
Thank you. Questions on this item? Seems pretty straightforward, I think. Yeah, it is a necessary evil. That's a good way to put it.
How is that compared to what we paid for it last year? Same, higher?
It's very similar. Last year, this is the first year the province did it this way with us. We always did it through a standing offer last year or years previous with the province. But for 1,500 cubic meters of sand, $50,000 is our typical price.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. Next, Councillor Chason, we have a discretionary use application, home-based childcare on 25 Hand Crescent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A notice was delivered to residents in the immediate area of 25 Hand Crescent, including the proposed home-based childcare. As a result of this notice, one piece of written correspondence, which objected to it, was received. Parking has been reviewed and sufficient parking is present for the main dwelling and the proposed home childcare. After review of the application, result of this notice to residents, the Development and Planning Department is recommending that the approval be granted for the requested home-based childcare. Proposed resolution, be it resolved that the City of Corner Brook approve the application to operate a home-based childcare from the dwelling located at 25 Hand Crescent in accordance with Regulation 11, discretionary power of authority. I so move.
Okay, thank you. Someone like to second that?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, questions on this item? Yes, go ahead, Councillor.
I guess I'm just going to, this is a very high traffic area, and I know that the study was done to look at it, but we are doing some work up there with speed limits and things like that. So this won't affect any of that, obviously, will it?
And I think, yeah, I mean, I guess, Mr. Charters, it's, as I read the report, I guess it's not sufficient to cause concern.
The addition of 6 children in the area has negligible impact on the existing traffic issues,
Okay.
which we are addressing.
Oh, yeah, and I did mention that we were addressing them.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, we recently placed a speed sign there on Woodrow to try and deal with
I know.
some of the concerns you raised there.
The speed issue is a big one up in that area, and there's a lot of children up in that area.
Anything else there?
Nope.
No? Okay, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. Okay. And Councillor Chase, and also we have a confirmation of order, on a stop work order, I believe. Would you tell us about that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Stop work order on 82 Elizabeth Street. Since the previous meeting of council, the following order has been issued by Department of Community Engineering and Development and Planning, and therefore must be confirmed by council pursuant to section 109(4) of the Urban and Rural Planning Act. The order was order number 2021-03. The date of issue was August the 18th, 2021. Civic address 82 Elizabeth Street. The violation was under section 8 of the City of Corner Brook Development Regulations. The proposed motion, in accordance with section 109(4) of the Urban and Rural Planning Act, the following order is hereby confirmed by council, order 2021-03. I so move.
Okay. Thank you. Would someone like to second that?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions on this item?
And simply, Mr. Mayor, this issue was that the individual or group in the property didn't have an order, a permit. We're just receiving the permit, right, to do the extension,
Yeah, that's it. That's correct, yeah.
which is pretty standard procedures.
Any other questions?
Has it been corrected since then? Was the permit requested at the city so that the individual could continue with his or her work?
As of Friday, it was not. The piece on the structure has been in place for quite some time. I will follow up with staff this afternoon.
Yeah, quite typically, these orders, you'll see an order and then a rescinding of the order once they have their permit. So usually we do get compliance and
Right.
It's dealt with. So I would suspect that the next meeting we'll see we'll see rescinding that. Yeah. Any other questions there? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. Okay, Deputy Mayor, we have some updates from Recreation, Margaret Bowater Park as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Margaret Bowater Park swimming pool will be closed for the season as of the end of the day, August 29, 2021. From August the 26th to the 29th, the swimming pool will remain open. However, there will not be any lifeguards on duty. And all use of the pool will be at the swimmer's own risk. Parental guardian supervisor is highly recommended by all children and youth. Ribfest, the City of Corner Brook will be hosting a 3-day Ribfest event at Margaret Bowater Park from August the 27th to the 29th. Ribfest will feature some of Canada's top ribbers selling their famous barbecue treats as they travel city to city to help raise money for non-profit organizations. Who will have the best ribs? Krabby BBQ Shack or Texas Rib Rangers? You decide. For added fun, there will be entertainment on stage and canteen services will be provided by Humber Valley Community Employment Corporation. The splash pad and outdoor pool will remain open for this event. Please note that Margaret Bowater Park outdoor pool will be unsupervised during this event, and all swimmers will swim at their own risk. Steep Ultra Marathon. On September the 4th, 2021, Margaret Bowater Park is going to be the start line for a 100-kilometer highly demanding wilderness race. The race, of course, will bring the participants over remote and very difficult terrain between Cornbrook and Humber Village. There will also be a 50-kilometer course starting at Man in the Mountain trailhead. The finish line for both races will be Margaret Bowater Park with the 50 km cutoff at 11 hours and the 100 km cut off at 22 hours. Good luck to all participants.
Okay, thank you. I'll see all my fellow councillors at the start of the Steep Ultra Marathon, I'm sure.
I'll be leaving.
Any questions there?
It's not at the start, Mr. Mayor, you need leaders, it's at the end. The start is easy.
That's why I meant to start, Councillor.
Yes, councillor.
Just one quick question, Mr. Mayor. I noticed that, and I realize that we will not be having lifeguards there, but there are 2 events that are occurring during timeframes when there are no lifeguards at the pool at all. I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah, and I think, Mr. Park could speak to this, but I think it has to do with the availability, I guess, of lifeguards at that time.
Yeah, we normally would have lifeguards available until that weekend. That would be a kind of a normal weekend, which lifeguards begin to progress to their post-secondary studies.
Yep.
That weekend, this upcoming weekend, we don't have enough available to provide sufficient lifeguarding. We will have an abundance of signs posted. We've also spoken with our insurer to make sure that the risk is minimized there as well. So again, and that's part of the process here, making sure, trying to get the word out there now. There will not be lifeguards on as of Wednesday evening.
Right. Just, again, we're having 2 events. That's why it's kind of it's an iffy
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it seems unavoidable at this point.
Yeah, would it be beneficial to close it? Just asking.
Well,
I
the
mean, I
problem,
know we get a lot of backsplash from it,
the
but,
problem is if you're down at the park sometimes after hours, technically, of course, there's nothing, it is impossible to prevent people from entering the water after hours. When it's closed, we could take down, I guess, the dam or something like that. However, I guess, like Mr. Park mentioned, we have talked to the insurer, and people are using it after hours as it is at their own discretion. Again, it's I always worry about after hours use. However, we do need to, I guess, put some responsibility on the users and parents as well to encourage safe use down at the park.
but now that we know it, and we're sort of saying you can use the pool, but there's gonna be no lifeguards there, but the parents are responsible. What about the children who go there daily without their parents, and there's no one to take care of them? I know to use it after, because I've been in the park
Yeah.
after and have used it and seen them diving from the bridges. But I really feel uncomfortable having it open
Yeah.
as a city, when the city events are happening there, and there's no lifeguards. I don't feel comfortable in saying, keep it open.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just chime in on that, this is something we should reconsider, and we still have some time
Yeah.
before the events, something that we should reconsider with whether we have the pool open or not.
Well, I guess we have very limited time for the first event.
29th.
Yeah, so,
I feel closing it would be, and then if somebody sneaks into it, then the pool is closed. We're not responsible then, and we will be responsible to a certain extent, opening something that we considered all summer, that it wasn't safe for the children to be in there without a lifeguard being on duty, but now we're gonna say it's open and it's your responsibility. I just think I see a lot of children over there without their parents, and young people over there without their parents.
Comment, I
Yeah.
don't know if we could ever close the pool. I don't know if we ever open the pool. We just have certain designated hours where there is a lifeguard on duty. So I don't know what, to say the pool is closed is just words. Doesn't, you can't enforce it.
yeah.
Right, so if it's just a liability thing, then maybe that's something to talk about, but, you can't close the pool.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we can't, I'm just saying it's impossible.
Well, the only measure
People want to swim, they can swim.
the only measure we really have available to us, and Mr. Park, again, I'll go back to you, but the only measure we have is to let the water out. That's really it.
Right.
Obviously, that doesn't guarantee that the behavior will,
Yeah.
right, or that they'll find other places to recreate. So, yeah, Again, I think it's a matter of people taking responsibility for themselves and for their kids to a certain extent. And if our insurer is comfortable with it, surely then they must have put some thought into this as well. Right?
So if I can back up a bit, Dale, are we saying that there's no lifeguards available, or the funding is run out?
No, it's not a funding whatsoever, it's availability of lifeguards.
Okay.
It's personnel,
That's important.
Yeah, we're not cheaping out on keeping the park open.
No, we looked at all options, even potentially looking to see if we could source lifeguards from other facilities to get us through the weekend, and it wasn't something that we could pull together in time. So I guess from a staff perspective, we look at it, right now, there are only lifeguards on duty 8 hours a day, or 16 hours a day, when there are no lifeguards on duty. For this last weekend of the year, while we had an event down there, we wanted to be able to provide that. We wanted to be able to provide that service to the public. Monday morning, the dance would be raised and the water would be good.
And I can tell you that as when I was down there last weekend, when we had to close the pool because of glass in the pool on the Sunday, which was not the hottest day, but pretty close to it, it really took the wind out of everyone's sails there. And now with RibFest there's a great opportunity, I think, to make it a popular event, right? Yes, Councillor?
Just going to say, Mr. Mayor, in years gone by, most of our lifeguards were university students. And of course, that might factor into this, and I'm not sure whether it does or doesn't.
Yeah.
But there is a principle of safety, I guess, involved, so to be at our best behavior, I guess we have to make sure that we cover our bases.
Yeah.
And at the RibFest, for the adults, there is no alcohol event at that RibFest, right? So there's no alcohol tent or anything like that, which whereby an adult could consume and then go to the pool, those kinds of things either, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I assume during those days we'll have our normal security complement and things as well.
Pardon me?
We'll have our normal security and
Security will be on. In fact,
all that as
there will
well.
be security on all night because of the rig trucks being there. There will be someone there throughout the whole night.
Right. Okay, so there's nothing,
I still
right?
worry, but anyway, that's okay. That's from a parent point of view, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Moving along, municipal election, Deputy Mayor, another, I guess, get the word out about certain milestones coming up.
Okay, again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Corner Brook municipal election is coming up on September the 28th, 2021. This year, voters can vote by mail, apply to vote by proxy, vote in person on election day, or vote in person at the advanced polls. Nomination period. The nomination period for candidates runs from August the 24th to August the 31st, excluding Saturday and Sunday, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Corner Brook Curling Club. That's 3 Canada Games Place. Prospective candidates are asked to book an appointment for nomination by contacting 637-1535 or elections@cornerbrook.com. Candidates will also be required to complete a tax clearance certificate request form at least 2 days prior to their nomination appointment to confirm that they are not in arrears of taxes or other charges owing to the city. The form will have to be completed and verified by our Treasury Division prior to nomination. A confirmed list of candidates will be posted for public notice after the nomination period has closed. For anyone interested in running for council, check out www.cornerbrookvotes.com for our candidates manual and more information about running for council. Vote by mail. Vote by mail applications are open, and voters can now register for a vote by mail kit online at www.cornerbrookvotes.com and or in person at City Hall. The deadline to apply for a vote by mail kit the deadline to apply for a vote by mail kit to be mailed to you is September 14th. After this date, voters can still apply for a kit up to September 20th, but will be required to pick up the kit at City Hall. It includes, included in the vote by mail kit will be a voter declaration form and a return envelope, secrecy envelope, and of course the ballot. The voter declaration form provides instructions on how to complete the ballot and return it by prepaid postage in the mail or in the drop box located at City Hall. The completed ballot must be placed in the secrecy envelope provided and then sealed. This will ensure that the vote is kept secret and does not identify the voter. Ballots will not be opened or counted until after 8 p.m. on Election Day. The deadline to deposit return envelope in the mail is September 20th, 2021. And the deadline to drop off return envelope in the secure drop box at City Hall is September 27th at 12 noon. Vote by mail is a safe, secure, and an accessible method of voting in this year's municipal elections. Register today. Other voting options. The advanced polls this year will be at Cornbrook Curling Club, 310 The Games Place. The dates for the advanced polls are Tuesday, September 21st, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, September 25th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Election Day, September 28th, 2021, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Polling stations, All Saints Church Hall, 484 Clarence Street. Cornbrook Civic Center, 1 Canada Games Drive. St. John the Evangelist Church Hall, 25 Main Street. St. Mary's Church Hall, 456 Curling Street. St. Michael's Church Hall, 16 Park Drive.
Perfect.
And I think to add to that,
Oh,
this
yes.
came in the mail today, so if what I read was a lot, then there's a backup and everybody should be getting one. I got mine this morning.
Right.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy. Any questions there from anyone?
Yeah, one question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
We spoke earlier in a previous meeting with regard to a secure mailbox at City Hall. Has that been installed or in the process of being installed, and where is it located for the benefit of residents who will take advantage of dropping it off at City Hall?
Yep, it has been received. So it's going to be located in the entrance of the Civic Square. So we'll have a big sign that display,
Yeah.
drop your vote by mail ballot here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to the left of the main entrance, there will be something very easy to spot.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Maureen.
Anything else there? Okay. We've got a few little bookkeeping issues to deal with. Councillor Carey, tell us about we have a gas tax agreement that we need to I guess, agree to.
Mr. Mayor, this is actually the 2019-2024 revised ultimate receipt gas tax agreement letter that's dated August 2021. And I guess the federal government announced in the 2021 budget a one-time increase in the gas tax allocation for 2021-2022. The previous amount allocated for 2021-2022 was $877,492. It has now been increased by an additional $839,340. So for the fiscal year 2021-2022, the amount will be $1,716,832. The letter is required to be signed and provided to the Municipal Provincial Affairs with a resolution by Council no later than September 30th, 2021. Therefore, be it resolved to approve the execution of the letter of the Province of Newfoundland and Labrador for an amendment to the gas tax fund allocation for 2019-2024 for the ultimate gas tax agreement in the amount of $6,135,329. And that amount is for the 5 years of the agreement, not for the 1 year
That's right.
of the agreement.
That's right. Okay, seconder on that?
Seconded.
Thank you.
It'd be nice if it was for 1 year.
Yeah. Questions on this one? So this is the, again, as we said, we're usually in around the 900,000 kind of range. This fiscal year, we get a little bump up again. Again, if FCM has its way, it'll be a permanent bump. This is the money we use, of course, to see all the paving you're seeing around town right now. It's the core funding for that kind of work. So it's very important to the city, for sure. Okay, no questions. We'll take it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. Councillor Staben, we have the lease agreement for Cornbrook Curling Club.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just some background on that now. The current lease with the Cornwall Curling Club Association, Inc. for the curling club facility located adjacent to the Cornwall Civic Center expires on September 30th, 2021. The city and the Curling Club Association are interested into entering into a new lease. The Curling Club Association has asked for a one-year lease. The new lease will be similar to the previous lease with a few minor adjustments. The lease rate for the 2021-2022 season will be $12,000 plus HST. Therefore, Mr. Mayor, be it resolved to approve the signing of the lease agreement between the City of Cornwall and the Cornwall Curling Association Incorporated for the period of October the 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded. Questions on this one? Again, pretty straightforward. It's sort of a, well, the agreement might not be annual, but it's an annual.
Well, I think it's smart on their part to only have a one-year lease.
Yeah.
Make sure that they'll be able to sustain the numbers, hopefully, in the years moving forward.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I guess we're still a little bit COVID skittish, like a lot of individuals, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah,
A lot of uncertainty.
Absolutely. Okay, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. And last but not least, I guess we have a follow-up from a previous decision. We have an agreement on the land at Pratt Street, Phase 3. Councillor Staben, would you please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a great pleasure to bring this one forward. Land management was approached by 52453 Newfoundland and Labrador Limited, who requested to purchase city land to complete the next phase of the subdivision located near Pratt Street. The city obtained this land from Newfoundland and Labrador Housing Corporation back in 2003 and is currently vacant and covered with natural vegetation. The approximate area is 5.23 acres, with two access points between 59 and 65 Pratt Street, and as well between 75 and 79 Pratt Street. According to city policy, land must be sold through the public tendering process unless otherwise directed by council. 52453 Newfoundland and Labrador Limited completed the previous two phases of Pratt Street and also owns a portion of land that is required to develop off the access point between 75 to 79 Pratt Street. Based on the drawing submitted by 52453 Newfoundland and Labrador Limited, the proposed subdivision will have a total of 23 lots with another access point to allow future development. Due to 52453 Newfoundland and Labrador Limited owning a portion of land that will also allow development off the access point between 75 and 79 Pratt Street, it would make it difficult for another developer to develop the same land. Therefore, Mr. Mayor, be it resolved to approve the execution of the agreement of purchase of sale with 52453 Newfoundland and Labrador Limited for the city land located near Pratt Street. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. A seconder? Seconded.
Mr. Mayor, before we vote, I wasn't declared in a conflict the last time, so I assume I won't be in a conflict this time before the vote.
Yeah, and again,
The issue was I lived on the corner of Carter and Pratt, where
Right.
the development would take place, and the last time I wasn't in a conflict, so I don't know if you want to go through that process.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we need to. I think we,
Sign the vote?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Okay, so questions on this item? Again, we have previously approved this, this is now, I guess, the final agreement.
Negotiated.
That's right. And now we have a negotiated thing there. I think it's 23 home lots, it looks like. So that would be a significant boost to our housing market here, of course. Any other questions? No? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Counterminded? Carried. Okay, with that, I will declare this meeting adjourned, and we will have an in-camera session immediately after. So I'll ask councillors to maybe quickly, if they need a bio break, and then return. Thank you all very much. Meeting adjourned.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.